Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the May 8th CVTA TAC meeting. Just quickly pulling up the agenda here. Welcome. I'm so excited. We got done with a lot of the items on our agenda today. So maybe we'll see. I think the last item may have a little talking, but maybe we'll see if we'll be able to give back some of that other long meetings today. So with that, Ms. Janice, if you'll go ahead and do the roll call and certification of a quorum.
Yes, ma'am. Give me 1 second. We have Ms. Smidler and Ms. Smith just joined. Let me move them over and then we can do our roll call. All right. Okay, Town of Ashland, Ms. Amos. Charles City County, Mr. Mitchell.
Here.
Ms. Russell. Chesterfield County Vice Chair Smith. Ms. Smith. She may be still moving over, but she is present.
She commented in the chat. She's here.
Okay, great. Ms. Walker. Goochland County, Mr. Goyne.
Here.
Mr. Coleman. Hanover County, Mr. Vadunez.
Here.
Mr. Flagg. Henrico County, Mr. Yor.
Here.
Ms. Smidler.
Here.
New Kent County, Ms. Inman.
Here.
Ms. LeDuc. Powhatan County, Mr. Shardine. City of Richmond, Chair Clark.
Here.
DRPT, Ms. Dubinsky. Mr. Wagner. VDOT, Mr. Totten. Mr. Riblet.
Here.
Ms. McAdory. Virginia Port Authority, Ms. Nelson.
Here.
GRTC, Ms. Torres. Ms. Sink. RMTA, Ms. Dean. And Plan RVA, Mr. Parsons.
Here.
That concludes the roll call for attendance. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. Let's see. Do we have, for item number 3, any considerations to amendment to the agenda? Great. Hearing none, we will go on to item 4, approval of the April 19th, 2023 TAC minute meeting. Let's see, TAC meeting minutes. Do we have someone for putting that up for approval?
So moved. This is Todd.
Thanks. Do we have a second?
1 second.
Great. I guess all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Great, that item is approved. On to our next item, item 5, public comment period. Do we have any comments via email or on this meeting today? Chet or Ms. Firestone?
No, ma'am.
Awesome. On to item 6, the CVTA TAC chair report. Nothing for this item. I think we'll have a good conversation for item 8. Looking forward to it. Item 7, CVTA actions for review. We wanted to provide any one who may have missed the full body meeting and update on the project selection and allocation framework, regional leveraging funds for PE, the CVTA locality spa, and then also from our fall line working group, we did select the the consultant for the fall line wayfinding plan. So Chad will give us a slight update on the next steps. And then the full body also through the finance recommending for approval are taking consideration. Did they update it, Chad, or is it just recommended for those small language changes? Was that approved?
The debt and reserve policy was not approved yet. That's going to be at Finance Wednesday.
Okay, awesome. So I just wanted to say that. So I said those all really quickly because anyone that has any questions on any of those, if you would like to ask, of course, everything got approved unanimously. I think I had this issue on at the full body. But anyway, based on our recommendations, so thank all of you for that, your hard work on getting that done. So with that, I'll take any comments on any of those sub items, A through E at this time.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Chair.
just a couple, I guess, housekeeping items. I believe the project selection allocation framework in the agenda is the clean version, but we will make sure to put this newest version on the website so that everything there is updated. And I believe as of Friday afternoon, all of the CVTA locality SPAs that were approved are now fully executed. So I'm going to make sure following the meeting today that everybody at the localities who had those on the agenda have the fully executed versions for reference. And then just a quick note on the debt and reserve policy. At the authority meeting, the discussion was, I think it was fairly positive about consideration of these kinds of measures to precede any discussion on actually taking on debt and funding projects in that method. So right now I think it's more of a fact-finding discovery type of action, and that's what Finance Committee is going to do on Wednesday in discussion with PFM. There isn't any new information, so if you've seen the PFM presentation from last month or from the CVTA meeting, the same recommendations hold there. And I think that the Finance Committee chair just wanted to give members some more time to ask questions and understand what the changes in the reserve policy as well as the bond mechanisms would include. And I think the final thing, I see Amy has her hand up. Final thing I wanted to say is that for those of you who weren't able to be at the meeting or watch it, the authority extended sincere gratitude for every member of the TAC, especially on the project selection allocation framework. So for all of the hard work that's been put in by this committee, you have been seen and noticed, and I think that everything that you're doing is very much appreciated by the authority members. So thank you.
Thank you. Amy?
Okay, thank you. Just an observation. So on the wayfinding plan, I noted that was kind of approved by the subcommittee to go directly to the full board without coming back to the TAC. And, while I understand that there may be time considerations, but I do think it's important for subcommittees to bring things back to the full TAC so that if we, just out of professional courtesy, if we have, CVTA board members that are voting on something, I think it's only prudent and professional courtesy to allow all members to review things that are going to the full board for approval, not just a couple of, a subset of the full TAC having that authority. So I would like for us to be mindful of that going forward.
Thank you, Ms. Inman. And yes, you're correct on the need for time constraint for the actual, because we only have we have this past meeting and then we'll have July, and we do have the execution of those agreements. The chair, created the subcommittee and am on the subcommittee, and we had a number of not only subcommittee members, but other TAC members also on participating on it. And I did feel comfortable talking with, staff to go ahead and put that item through. So I think one of the items, the next item actually on the agenda is really important as we look at these subcommittees and decision-making. And I know Ms. Firestone may have to go back, but to tell me the exact members of the Fall Line Working Group Committee, but I do know it had some members that were not along the Fall Line. But again, you know, I think, again, with that time, and there was, again, 5 of the TAC members that agreed on it. So I do think that we can lay out some of our intentions, and maybe sharing those with the entire TAC members would have been prudent to do prior to the meeting. So yes, I do take your comment and do apologize if it caused anyone any you know, mishap with informing their localities and their representatives, as well as for your own knowledge. So
Thank you.
thank you. You're welcome. Thanks.
I appreciate that. And it wasn't noted as a criticism. I know that I attended that meeting. I just listened in because I'm not on that committee, but I did listen in. So I heard what was happening. But this isn't the first time that this has happened, where documents that have been expected to have full board approval have not really been vetted by all members of the TAC. And it seems to be kind of a trend. So I'm just asking that when documents and agreements are being asked to be approved by the full, you know, CVTA board, that all TAC members have the professional courtesy to review it and provide meaningful comment so that we can properly inform our board members. That's all I'm asking for. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think specifically you're referring to potentially the SPA agreement.
There's been a couple since I've been on that have.
Okay, yeah, and I would ask that yes, you definitely if you would like, we could definitely compile to see what type of trend that looked like, and whether or not some of that is staff and Chet's ability as the executive director to do.
Mm-hmm.
Or
okay.
Exactly. So
I
think
don't know where
more,
that's falling. I'm just, and it's not a
Mhm.
criticism on anybody. I'm just asking going forward that.
no, I think it's a great
mindful of it.
process. Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Chet, if you'll take note of that again, as we continue to try to align, you know, it's hard. Everybody is wearing 3 to 4 hats and roles. So sometimes it gets a little bit hard to ensure that we maybe are following a good protocol and process for how, even when something can't go to the entire TAC, what will we do to ensure that everyone is still informed and well aware and involved in the process. So I think that that is something that we could potentially add on our agenda, Chat. And like I said, Amy, starting with, just because it's the facts, starting with some of those instances that you speak of, maybe those can help us, you know, looking at the recordings, help us really uncover how we can make it more efficient and consistent for everybody as we continue to move forward. So thank you. Do we have any other members that would like to comment, weigh in? Awesome. So with that, we're going to go to the next item, which is specifically sports backers who's an outside entity is asking to be a part of the Fall Line Working Group membership. So I think it would probably take, and I'll help Chet if you could jump in, I would just really want to make sure we understand and go to the bylaws of the CVTA, which explicitly spell out how the TAC members and that should allow, and subsequently any subset of that couldn't then, in my opinion, arbitrarily be added in at our level to be able to say, yes, they should be in, or yes, they shouldn't be in. I just have to get greater clarification on, I know we had, you know, some conversations with CTAC and really their voting ability into the process and other things. So I think that we need to, you know, I think it's a consideration. I'm not sure. I you know, can entertain. I definitely would like a conversation, but I can't entertain anybody's thoughts, motions, and, you know, whatever on this item. But I did want to correlate that with just the bylaws. And again, I'm not sure what action we would take. It says Yeah, it's a discussion item, so yeah, we don't have to take any action. Sorry about that. So anyone up for the discussion?
Madam Chair, just a couple notes. The following working group, I don't believe is not an official authority designated group. It is a subset of the TAC. And if I recall my timing correctly, this was established about the same time we established 5 or 6 other working groups under the TPO. And that was all during COVID, I think, so that work could continue moving forward. And so we have all of these subcommittees, essentially working groups. At some point, Virginia Capitol Trail was added as a member. They are not currently a member of the TAC, but everybody else that's on the Fall Line Working Group is a member of the TAC.
And when do we add Virginia Capitol Trail from the onset?
I don't believe it was. We can look back through the minutes and figure that out.
Yeah, that would be great, because I would love to see if it was added like an agenda item like this, or how
It
it.
wasn't. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but it wasn't. We just added her to the list because they wanted to participate in the meetings. We also have the Tri-Cities MPO. I just looked at the bylaws and they don't address membership
No.
for working. So that doesn't say anything about it at all.
Yeah, and so it's almost, I just asked. I'll go to Amy, Miss Emily first. Amy.
Sorry, I'm mute. All right, thank you. Just trying to make sure I'm. So I guess, since this is a working group that hasn't really been appointed by the CVTA, so it's not really an official body that can take formal action on anything. It seems like that body would be making a recommendation up to the TAC that would then make a recommendation to the board. It seems like that would be the logical flow of that. So in that instance, it seems that it would be reasonable for key stakeholders to participate in those discussions, but not necessarily, if there are votes taken, probably not have a vote, right? The vote should be left to the formal TAC members that are on that working group. But I guess I would want to think about, in addition to sports backers, I mean, they always make really good comments and they're a meaningful part of the process. So it seems reasonable to have them on as a non-voting member, key stakeholder type thing. But also the Friends of the Lower Appomattox River, Heather, I think she should also be included in that designation, because this does directly, impact and connect to Fuller, and to their trail network. So I would like to ask that she be included.
Thank you. And I think we've had Fuller maybe at the TAC level and not the working group, but I know we have received their input, or she may have just been in the Tri-City sitting area when we talked with Ron early on. So yeah, so I think that what we're saying is that because there's no guidance and there won't be any voting by these members, that we are okay. One, based on our historic actions with Virginia Capitol Trail and the Tri-Cities MPO, and then this request now for sports backers, and then in addition to Fuller. Chet?
Thank you. I I fully agree with what Ms. Inman's suggesting, and I would propose, if it's okay with the rest of the committee, that staff maybe work with the chair to put together a list of potential partners that would be non-voting members of the Fall Line Work Group, for the exact reasons that Ms. Inman raised. I do want to say that there is also a Friends of the Fall Line group, so there's lots of spilling over and cross-pollination, and I know that Mr. Tyndall from Sports Backers is leading that effort. So I don't see any problem with having multiple memberships, and we as staff support the Friends of the Fall Line group as well. So but I think just in order to have TAC consider membership as a whole, it might be nice to come back at a future meeting with a list of names that, or organizations, maybe even better, to be non-voting members of the work group.
Yeah, and it may be that, you know, we'll have to see, but because you made me think about, we just literally, you know, with Phil, last week did just a meeting for APA, one of their chapter meetings. And, you know, you had people like from VDOT, and then those that also were the contractors for doing the design build. And so then that brings me to ensuring that we still think about that structure, and whether or not they're really called non-voting members, or whether or not you know, the key stakeholders, because we do want to maintain some order and control when we are meeting and discussing things. And so, you know, I too agree that, but we definitely want to make sure that we are doing it correctly in that when we begin to expand it. And of course, yeah, I totally agree with Amy in regard to sports backers having very good input and discussion to it. So again, I just want to make sure that when we're doing it, we're not then leaving out, you know, people that could potentially add benefits when we're talking about design, or when we're talking about, you know, constructing. How are we really going to control that, ensuring that we have their role and roles that we may need in the future, and we're clear on that. Mr. Ewer?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I'm in full agreement that we should probably look for additional stakeholders that may want to have a voice as non-voting members of the working group. I would caution that we probably don't want to overlap or duplicate efforts. For example, Friends of Fall Line was formed and sponsored by sports backers and has membership of, for example, I want to say Friends of Lower Appomattox. So we're maybe double counting if we include something like Friends of Fall Line. So I think just we want to be mindful as we put together that list of kind of single representation for each of those.
Thank you, Mr. Ewer. I know Barb is listening in. Do we have any member comments that they would like to add in? So this is the discussion item. So I'm assuming that we will be able to talk about this at our next meeting, and maybe again, after talking with Chet, we can have some idea on the proposal. And I think it would probably just be to, you know, information to the full authority members in that, you know, this is now, you know, how the Fall Line group, working group looks today, at least to, you know, just solidify when we are making recommendations up to the full TAC, that it isn't just a bunch of everything, but we have some good reasoning behind the makeup. So do we have any other comments? I think right now we're on to our member comments. Anyone have any comments they would like for the group? Hearing none. Our next meeting is going to be June the 12th. I look forward to talking to everyone then. I did want to bring up, I guess I'm forgetting, that we are coming into our new fiscal year. And so we will need to be, you know, discussing our chair and vice chair. So just be talking among your peers, just to go off of some of the things that our mayor, Richmond's mayor, stated about the process and election of leaders. I too agree that when people get together and they talk about it and figure out who's a good person to help move forward, it really keeps it invigorating and keeps leaders coming and coming. So again, we ask that you talk amongst each other and, just discuss who you'll be looking at leading us in the future. And I appreciate each of you and I thank you. If there are no other comments, I'll move for adjournment. And I don't need a second or a motion. Bye, everyone. Amy, you had something? Wait a minute.
Yeah, I'm having trouble with my mute button today. So is there anything, and would anybody be in opposition to people having 2 terms? So we wanted to nominate you again. For instance, just asking, is there anything about not having 2 terms?
No, because actually in our first year, Todd served 2 terms.
Okay.
Yep. But I do believe in Barb as a good candidate. She's been a great vice chair. But anyway, yeah, it's just up for discussion. Like I said, let's talk about it. And I know Nora's been in the weeds and everything with us, and Joe sometimes shies. He's our technical guru. So just again, talk amongst everyone and just let's see what we can come up with, because by our July meeting, we'll have to be, I think, maybe we do it after. I don't know. I always get confused around this time, but we'll have to select our leadership.
Okay.
Awesome. Bye, y'all.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.